The Oklahoma Sooners have landed the speedy four-star wide receiver out of Gray, Georgia, in Zion Ragins. And it's something that we talked about in the video earlier today. And if you guys want a more in-detail breakdown of what the wide receiver class for Oklahoma and Emmett Jones potentially looks like going into this year and next year, go ahead and check that one out. But today we're going to talk about Zion Ragins and what he is going to bring to the University of Oklahoma as a 2024 commit, and potentially what could happen to the wide receiver room if Terry Bussey ends up committing. But guys, before we do that, before we dive into it, I need you to do one thing for me. Go ahead and hit the like and hit the subscribe button. Jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. I want to hear from you. I want to interact with you guys, and I am trying to respond to comments. It does take me a little bit, but I will eventually get to them. So jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are around the recent commitment of Zion Ragins to the University of Oklahoma. And one more thing before we get started. If you guys see the mess behind me, I apologize. I am moving. Should be out of here by August 1st into a, you guys have literally been recording in my bedroom. So you guys will have to bear with me for the next couple months. But let's dive into it, because the Oklahoma Sooners are now the number 22nd ranked team in the 2024 247 composite rankings, right behind the University of Texas, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. Nebraska at number 18. But the University of Oklahoma now has 14 commits a part of this class with a 218.63 composite score. And you start to do the class calculations on the class calculator and go, if Oklahoma ends up with some of the 5 stars we expect them and some of the other blue chippers that we expect them to land in this class, Oklahoma could be looking at a top 5, top 3 class in the country. Now, you're going to have to beat out the likes of Florida, Michigan, and Alabama for that title, but Oklahoma could definitely be trending that direction. Now, the Zion Ragins commitment might not be a surprise to you because, well, all reports had been indicating that Zion Ragins was trending to the University of Oklahoma for a while, and most notably so. He took 2 or 3 visits to the University of Oklahoma, but he took his official visit in June. He took 1 visit to Florida State in June, but he took other visits, 2 to South Carolina, 1 to Florida, 1 to Ole Miss. He took 1 to Georgia. And so you look at Zion Ragins, and really, when you look at his visitor list, where he's been, it's kind of short. And kind of wonder, does that mean he's a laid-back dude, low tone? I have no idea. But what I can tell you is Oklahoma got I would say this is an excellent commitment in this class. And the reason being is because you got a guy that is top end speed, borderline Olympic speed. The dude is quick. And although he might not be your typical wide receiver, Parker Thune over with Rivals and OU Insider, I think has made the best comparison for Zion Ragins that I've heard so far. And he's kind of like Marquise Brown. He's a guy that you can really utilize at running back. You can use him at wide receiver. You can put him in the slot. Hey, you can even run a jet sweep with him. Zion Ragins is a guy that, yeah, he's going to be blowing past defenders. So if you need to get the ball down the field, just toss it down there. And if y'all remember the Marquise Brown days when he would just blow past wide receivers, Kyler Murray would chunk the ball down there, and Marquise Brown was gone to the end zone. That's what you could be potentially getting with Zion Ragins. This is also important because in the 2023 class, you got Keon Brown, which is kind of what you thought he was going to fill this role. But ultimately, Keon Brown was not able to be a part of this class. And so you've now had to fill that hole where, yeah, you got Brennan Thompson through the transfer portal from the University of Texas, which is a great pickup, and I think he will play special teams. You have Petaway on the team. Both, again, guys have top-end speed, but you've got a guy that primarily can focus on just being that breakout wide receiver, the guy that can just straight run down the field, and you're tossing the ball up, there's a 50-50 shot that he's going to get it just because of pure speed alone and outrun the defender. That's what I like in Zion Ragins. And that's what I like that the Oklahoma Sooners are getting, because I felt like over the past couple of years since Marquise Brown has left, that's the one part of your wide receiver core that you've been missing. You've been missing that wide receiver that just blows past everybody else, can make defenders miss, and that's what Zion Ragins can do. Zion Ragins, in his time at Gray, Georgia in 2022, he didn't put up the most remarkable numbers. He got snaps at wide receiver and running back, though, in Georgia's 5A playoffs, and in 10 games, caught 46 passes for 557 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also carried the ball for 38 times for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. So when you look at what he was for Gray, Georgia, he was a utility knife. He was literally everything for that offense. And so I like what Oklahoma's getting at Zion Ragins because I believe with that top end speed, Jeff Lebby and the offense, Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins, Kevin Sperry, they will all be able to get the ball to this kid, and they will all be able to utilize his talents to the best of their ability. Now, the question is, where does Oklahoma go next at the wide receiver room, and does that potentially hurt any of the current wide receiver commits that we have? Reason why I ask that is Oklahoma is in position to try to get a commitment from the 5-star athlete who they likely will play at wide receiver, Terry Bussey. And if Terry Bussey comes into this wide receiver room, you are not going to have 5 commitments. You will have 6 wide receiver commitments. Now, bear with me here because Ivan Carrion, a lot of people believe he will end up playing tight end for the University of Oklahoma at 6'6" and doesn't have that speed, would fit really well in that position. But that still leaves you at 5 wide receivers. KJ Daniels, you've got Doge Azukama, you have Zion Kearney, and then you're going to have Zion Ragins. And it's really hard, as you've seen in 2021 with the University of Oklahoma, to get the ball around to all of these wide receivers. Sometimes there's just not enough ball to get around to everybody. And Oklahoma's got a young wide receiver core. Remember, they got guys in the transfer portal this season and the existing freshmen and sophomores that they had on that team. It got Jaden Gibson, Nick Anderson, you have Andrell Anthony, you have LV Bunkley Shelton, you have JJ Hester. Remember, DJ Graham's only, I think, got 1 year left, but DJ Graham's in that wide receiver room, and it's somebody that we hardly ever talk about. Then you've got Petaway, you have Brennan Thompson, you have Jalil Farouk, you have Drake Stoops. The wide receiver room for the University of Oklahoma, although it's not proven, it's deep and it's talented. And surely one of those guys is bound to have a breakout season, and you can imagine bringing in 5-6 wide receivers into the fold. It's going to be hard for them to find a home for them to spend some time and to be able to develop into that NFL caliber wide receiver that everybody so desperately looks for. Now, maybe Jeff Lebby and Emmett Jones and the staff, they are trying to sell these kids on the idea that we're not going to wear you out. We're not going to put a bunch of miles on you before you get to the NFL. It's more valuable for you to show off, get developed, and keep your mileage low on those legs so that an NFL franchise will take you higher than maybe somebody else who just has a bunch of production and a bunch of miles on those legs and maybe won't be in the league as long. Something that they do with the running backs, and I'm curious to see if they do that with the wide receivers as well. But guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are around the recent commitment of the 4-star wide receiver Zion Ragins to the University of